Shvuah Tov Mevarach. Mishnah Yomi is holding in the second chapter of Beitzah at the 10th and final Mishnah, Agala Shel Katan, the wagon of a katan, of a small child. This is actually like a walker, like a pushing toy that they use to support themselves as they're learning to walk. Tameya midras. It can become tame through the method of medras. Now, medras is something where if somebody is a zav, they're tame because they had certain bodily emission, then not only do they transmit tuma by touching certain items that are capable of accepting tuma, but by leaning or resting or sitting on items meant for that purpose. And here this agala is meant for the child to push some of his weight onto as he is learning to walk. So it is capable of accepting ritual impurity through medras. When you tell it b'Shabbat, you can move it on Shabbat. Talking about the parents, you could pick up this walker wagon item and you can move it. It's not muksa, it's a kli. Ve'eno nigreret ele al gabei kelim. But on Shabbat, you shouldn't drag it. You shouldn't have the child, especially if he's a zaftig child, you shouldn't have him pushing on it except on like kelim, like a hard surface, like something wood or over a carpet or over a mat or something like this. But if you're outside on soft ground, then it might cause a ditch, and that's a tolda of digging, of chofer. It's an issue of zoreya, really, on Shabbat. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, kol kelim en nigrarin. Rabbi Yehuda says we don't drag any kelim outside on Shabbat. You know, we're talking about on dirt, on soft ground. We're talking about like a table, a chair, a bench. You don't want to drag that because it will make a groove in the earth. Again, it's a tolda of zoreya. Chutz min agala. Except this wagon, you could pull it over the ground on Shabbat. Mivnei shehi koveshet. Because it doesn't dig into the ground, it just pushes it down. Now, it's made with either having wheels or gliders to make it easy for the child to push it. It's meant to be pushed along over the ground, and so the way they make the bottom of this agala is that it doesn't make ditches or grooves into the ground. In the Mishnah in Shabbat, we contrast the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, who's not mentioned here. Rabbi Shimon said, Devar she'enu metkaven mutter. So Rabbi Shimon would say it would be mutter even to drag a chair or a bench or a table on Shabbat, as long as the ground is hard enough that it's not likely, not in someone's mind to make any ditch or any grooves in the ground. Obviously, before you need to consult a local Orthodox rabbi before you go dragging benches on soft ground on Shabbat, even according to Rabbi Shimon. Let's go on to Perek Gimel, chapter 3. Ein sodin dogim yim bivorim b'yom tov. We don't trap fish from a pond on Yom Tov. This vivarin is vivarium in Greek. And we don't feed the fish in the pond in your backyard on Yom Tov. What's going on is if you're feeding the fish, it's like baiting the fish, and you might come to grab one, or the fish have enough food in their pond by themselves. Now contrast this to animals. A vol, sadin chayiv ofmin vivarin. But you can trap, and now here we're using this word trap quite loosely, a wild animal or a bird that was in an enclosure already before Yom Tov. So what happened here was they did the actual trapping from the forest of this deer or this bird, and then they put it into some sort of holding pen or a cage or a barn or something like this. Their vivarium, it's an enclosure where they can move around and walk around, but they're kind of locked up already. And you can put food in front of them on Yom Tov. Now, really, be a mitzvah, you have to put food in front of them on Yom Tov, like we have to feed your animals, your pets, before you eat yourself. Tsar Bali Chaim. So now we're going to explain what's this vivarium for the Chaim. Over Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Meir, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel explains. Now he's not really coming to argue with the first opinion, but to explain what's going on. Lo kola bivarin shavin. Not every vivarium is the same. Zeyaklal, here's the general rule. Kola mechusar tzida aser. Any situation where the animal is fast enough and the enclosure, the vivarium, is large enough where it's lacking trapping. So you might have a tzvi in the barn, and that barn's big enough where if you would go and lunge and try to grab the tzvis, you can eat it for Yontiv lunch, that tzvi's going to run away and get away and be able to escape from you. So then it's actually a new act of trapping to catch it in this large enclosure, and you cannot do it on Yom Tov. Still have to feed it. If it's not lacking the action of trapping, it's small enough pen that you can sort of get in there and quickly grab the animal or the bird, back in your net, and it's not going to be fluttering away from you. So really, the act of trapping was already done Erev Yontiv, and now this vivarium is sort of just the holding pattern until you're going to shekt it to have fresh meat on Yontiv, so that would be mutter. Yashar kochachem, Shavua tov.